Hey class, welcome. This is Adam. Thanks for joining me. This is your final big assignment for this class. Get excited. We're moving into unit number four, I think four, which is writing research documents for your organization. And today we're going to talk about white papers. Some of you may not have any idea what a white paper is, and that's totally okay. I, didn't really know until much later in life as well. We're going to talk about what they are today, how they're used. I need to give you a little bit of background. First, we used to, in this class, make everybody do a questionnaire, collect data, and write a really involved academic research paper. So that's what you could be doing right now. And then I was like, you know what, we could reclaim like 3 weeks of the semester to do other things if we kick that out, because knowing how to write an academic paper for research is really only important if you're going to go out and get a master's. And if you do that, great, good for you. They're going to teach you how to do that there. So we're going to learn instead about white papers. So our objectives for today are to understand the purpose of white papers. We're going to understand how white papers fit in history, and then when it's appropriate to use a white paper, again, in the context of your business. You're still writing in your groups, you're still writing in the context of whatever your chosen organization is. You're going to know the parts of the white paper, and then sort of white paper best practices. That's what I just told you. Anyhow, so what is a white paper? A white paper is sort of an informal name that actually kind of caught on, and I think that the original, definition of it was that it was printed on better, whiter paper, because for whatever reason, it was just like a more serious document than your everyday run-of-the-mill paper. I'll double check on that and verify you. But it was originally shorthand for a government report, and it's not to the degree of law, and it's not to the degree of policy, but what a white paper was sort of an authoritative report to help readers, whether they be legislators or, bureaucrats or whatever, to help them understand an issue, solve a problem, or make a decision. And so, they're typically really in-depth, include a lot of information, and typically argue a specific position. So, these are intended to be not necessarily persuasive, but they're not necessarily, we present all sides of the argument. They generally come at it with, we have a proposed solution, or we have, a specific position, and then we're just sort of, writing to support it. Again, used in two realms today: government and business-to-business marketing. Okay, and so what I mean by business-to-business marketing is that one of my favorite white papers last semester was by the guys that had the Turfgrass business organization, and their business-to-business marketing was they wrote white papers with the intended audience of golf courses to read. So they wrote about I think irrigation systems and which one was best, and then with the goal of then distributing that information to golf courses to help them make that decision about which one do they put in. Generally for external audiences, you generally wouldn't write a white paper for people within your business because they probably already know that information. And so I have some examples here that I can show you. Let's see here. Where'd it go? All right. Nope, that's not it. Okay. Nope, still not it. Okay, maybe it's closed. There it is. All right. So here's a white paper that I actually wrote, believe it or not, with all my comments. And it was about agriculture, education, and training in sub-Saharan Africa. Fun times. And so it was just sort of a dossier. We picked a position about how extension education work, and then we supported it. And as you can see here, I also make lots of mistakes. Some other examples that I put up on Scholar. These can also be slickly designed. So here's one that is up for you to kind of copy or use if you want to. Here's another one. Again, really fancy, include graphs and pictures, so on and so forth. It just kind of depends on your audience, depending on which type you're going to use. So back to the PowerPoint. Again, okay, so now we're going to talk about the purpose of the white paper, which I already kind of touched on. You're again advocating a certain position. You're advocating that a particular solution is best. And then when you're working in a commercial setting such as business-to-business marketing, you're trying to influence the decision-making process with customers. And so one big important thing that's written, or that's important, is that you need to, again, Fat P, write with your audience's need in mind, not your company's. So, a wrong example of a white paper that helps people, learn about a new freight service is that, white paper introduces X company's new freight service. No, like it's not about you. So the right way to do it is this white paper discusses how to choose a freight service company that best suits your needs, you being the audience. And we'll talk more about how this is a really subtle marketing tool like later. Let's do some history. Again, I said white papers originated in government documents. The very first, well-known paper was written by Winston Churchill. It was called the Churchill White Paper of 1922. And its job, the thing that it did, it was designed to present a certain issue and advocate a position, and it clarified how Britain viewed the Balfour Declaration of 1917, which we all know, aided the British establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. Interesting. So somewhere, some group of people, including Winston Churchill, put a lot of thought into the creation of Israel in Palestine, and wrote out probably like an 80-page paper, presented it to Parliament. They read it and said, yes, we agree with this, and then they supported the establishment of this paper. So fascinating, I know. Use in government today still presents potential government policies while at the same time inviting opinions. So again, this isn't like a policy document. Like it's not like we come out and we say, boom, this is it, follow these rules. It's more of a position piece. We say, this is our position. This is, why we feel it's best, and you present it in a very factual, heavily research-based way. But at the same time, people can disagree with it and make counterpoints. And then, so famous white papers that I found on the internet, the white paper on full employment was, I think, and actually it was an Australian piece that they wrote in 1976. And it was basically like, how do we get everyone in the country employed? And it was just a plan for that. And it was like 100 and something pages. And they, eventually converted it into a series of laws. And it actually still sort of governs Australia's, labor plan for their country today. The White Paper of 1939 actually rebuked and turned around the position of the Churchill Paper of 1922. So they reverse course. And then the 66 defense paper was actually another sort of United Kingdom piece that basically led to their position that they won't go to war unilaterally anymore. They'll only go to war, in the guise of NATO. So fascinating. But what's more pertinent to you all is probably this business-to-business marketing. You may be writing a government piece. Let's back up. So, say, you're the NAAE, say you're the National Wildlife Federation, say you're any number of these organizations with, sort of an ideology and a thing that you're pushing. You may write a white paper that addresses, government policy, and then, write it as though, the intended audience is legislatures. And, so the National Wildlife Federation might have this big white paper about, why we need to, reintroduce wolves to something, and then they support that, and then that's their position, and then they turn it over in hopes that it becomes law. What some of you will do this business-to-business marketing. So since the 1990s, this has been a thing that people use. This is my picture to represent the 90s. Love that dude with the mullet. Isn't that fantastic? Look at all the nylon in that picture. Jesus. Okay. So used as a marketing tool, and use selected facts and logical arguments to make a case favoring your company. And so here's the thing about this. Let me make sure I don't talk about this later. This type of marketing is really subtle, okay? And so basically what you want to do is you want to position your company as sort of the thought leader or opinion leader in your field. So going back to my example of the two guys in turf grass that were writing about irrigation systems, they didn't come out and say, our turf grass company pushes a particular type of irrigation system and you should buy it. That's not how it went down. They wrote in a very factual, logical, argumentative style and said that, we know what your needs are at this golf course. Here are 3 things that you need to consider. This irrigation system addresses these 3 things in a really positive way. And, based on this and for any number of reasons, we recommend this type of thing. And at the end, you almost say, almost as a, oh, by the way, we can install this for you. You can sort of think of it also as the difference between marketing in a Super Bowl ad and marketing on PBS. So like Budweiser or whatnot, like has a Super Bowl commercial. And it's really in your face, and it's like drinkability, and like there's people driving like a wagon, and they're like, yeah, and then the horses are running, and the guy like looks into the camera and winks and drinks a beer, and then like slaps the horses, and then off they run, and it's like Budweiser drinkability. Okay, that's like marketing. PBS is more along the lines of what we're doing here, which is just to say that Sesame Street is brought to you by Budweiser drinkability. And so that's like what what they're doing is they're subtly aligning themselves with this thing that people like. So anyway, that probably didn't make sense to anybody. So there are 3 different types of white papers used in business. There's the backgrounder, which is what it sounds like. It provides sort of background supplementary information on a product or a service to help people know more about it. There's a numbered list, which presents a set of tips, questions, or points. And then there's the one that I would like you to do if you choose this business-to-business one, which is problem solution. And it recommends sort of a new, improved solution. So you may be like, this is the thing that we've all struggled with for a long time, and here is a series of things that you can do to make this better. So when we come back in the next video, we're going to talk about tips and the parts of white papers. Excuse me.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the